can!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hi, you're with First Sports. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, Pakistan is sitting on a ticking time bomb. But is this a pattern that the country is known to have mastered over the years, more so with cricket? The U-turns that they seem to be pulling off every single time, reacting instantly only to withdraw later on. Is that the same script? Is that very same script going to play out here at the T20 World Cup as well? Is there trouble in paradise? Cristiano Ronaldo and Al-Nassr, and by that extension, the Saudi Football League itself is on thin ice. Development suggests CR7 is perturbed. What are the reasons? Will this result in a bitter fallout? And what could the ramifications be? In USA and Donald Trump seem to be setting off the IOC. Christy Coventry may be putting on a brave and calm front here, but they all seem to be riding choppy waters. What with ice in Italy and the Epstein files connection with the LA Games chief coming out, is USA's relationship with the IOC fragile? But first, Sports 360. Starting with football, FIFA boss Gianni Infantino calls for Russia's ban reconsideration. He says political bans fail to foster peace and risk deepening divisions. Russia has been out of FIFA and UEFA competition since the 2022 Ukraine invasion. Ukraine foreign minister slams Infantino, calling him moral degenerate. A Carabao Cup final spot is up for grabs, with Arsenal and Chelsea both eyeing the title. Arsenal hold the upper hand, leading 3-2 on aggregate after a narrow win at Stamford Bridge. The winner here will face whoever trumps in the Manchester City and Newcastle United matchup. On to tennis, India hopes Sumit Nagal recovers in time for the Davis Cup qualifiers' first round against the Netherlands in Bengaluru this weekend. Nagal, India's top-ranked singles player in the world, ranked 281, retired in his last tour match in Thailand with a hip strain. Davis Cup captain Rohit Rajpal says a final decision on Nagal's availability will be made closer to the tie. On to motorsport. India has started talks to bring Formula One back to the Budh International Circuit, that's in the capital, Delhi. The Sports Ministry has initiated a dialogue with track authorities to revive the race that was last held back in 2013. Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia has visited the Greater Noida circuit and met officials who currently control the venue. And finally, we'll wrap up with NFL. Conservative group Turning Point USA, founded by Charlie Kirk, is launching a rival halftime show. It is called the All-American Halftime Show and will feature performances by Kid Rock, Lee Brice and Gabby Barrett. The show will run directly against the NFL's official Super Bowl halftime performance, featuring Bad Bunny and Green Day. The dust isn't going to settle in on Pakistan's boycott drama leading up to the T20 World Cup, one that is derailing the build-up to any ICC tournament. And while this comes as no surprise here, the fact that Pakistan continues to repeat their ploys with almost no success is what astounds many. So the story we're getting you today is about Pakistan and the art of U-turns, how they react and respond with fury almost instantly, only to retract with the tail tucked right between their legs. Now, Pakistan was a cricketing superpower. They had heroes that they could look up to, heroes who defined their DNA. They developed a rich sporting culture. They had enigma and played with purpose. All of that, sadly, seems to be a distant memory now. It's become part of folklore, the kind that makes you wonder, did that all actually play out? Did that all actually happen at all? The reason I say this is because Pakistan's actions over the last few years has unraveled their own cricketing fabric, bringing them, their very cricketers, to disrepute. And it all starts with the rush of blood, resulting in loud threats that ultimately fizzle out. For example, Asia Cup. Let's begin there. This is a country that was miffed because India did not shake hands with them after the match. So they decided suddenly to just sit in their hotel rooms and not get to a stadium for a game that was set to take place, a match that was scheduled, that broadcasters and organizers had invested in. Big money is riding on it, and all that drama for nothing because they eventually got to the stadium and played that match. And this is what I'm getting at. Why give in to these impulsive reactions and moves when the ultimate result is to only cave in? Take the Asia Cup trophy episode in itself, the famous trophy that really showcased the tournament in poor light. The PCB chief, who's the country's interior minister, Mohsin Naqvi, just walked off with it right after the final, and now what? Nothing more to it. It's pretty much just a silverware that has lost all relevance in the larger scheme of things. A few of Pakistan's cricketing voices have also now chimed in, saying while they do not want sports and politics to mix, they stand by their government's decision to boycott the India match in the T20 World Cup.
A tough but necessary stand by our government. Principles must come before commercial interest. The selective influence in world cricket needs to end for the game to truly be global.
I've always believed that cricket can open doors when politics closes them. Regrettably, Pakistan won't play India at the T20 World Cup, but I stand behind my government's decision. This is the moment for ICC to lead and prove through decisions, not statements, that it is impartial, independent and fair to every member.
Well, that's coming from a player who himself made a U-turn after announcing his retirement, and one who was seen wearing army outfits during a celebratory parade after the whole India-Pakistan standoff post the Pahalgam terror attack. India's former captain, of course, hits the nail on the head when he aptly sums up Pakistan's state of mind.
I think if you withdraw at the last moment, that is an issue. If you withdraw earlier on, that's another matter altogether. What's new in this? We all know Pakistan cricketers retire and then 4 days later they take back their retirement, saying our fans told us to play more. This might happen again.
And that's the bottom line there, isn't it? Pakistan's repeated revolts just feel like an act to grab attention with no sense of accountability, and many of their own not wanting to stand up to a regime that has blinders on, with no real purpose or end game in sight. Why are they boycotting this T20 World Cup game? They do not have a bone to pick with the ICC. They only benefit from the International Cricket Council. To think they are doing all this to gain some brownie points from a country that isn't even playing the World Cup, this edition, Bangladesh, sounds all too ridiculous, doesn't it? All of this grandstanding, knowing that they are the ones who, well, will lose out. A stubborn stand here with no reason will only lead to alienation from the rest of the cricketing world. And can Pakistan, this Pakistan, with the setup that we see before us, really afford all of that? Meanwhile, from India's camp, the news is clear. They will fly to Colombo as per schedule, in time to play that match against Pakistan on the 15th of February. That's what's penciled in. They will train, they will practice and address the pre-media press conferences, even as Pakistan still continues to sulk. And if Pakistan doesn't show up, they will pocket the points. India will pocket the points. They have nothing to lose. Pakistan, on the other hand, have more than just those points at stake. Do they comprehend that at this point? And even if they make yet another U-turn here, will the cricketing world let them live this drama that they created down? Saudi Arabia has spent the last 3 years reshaping football's center of gravity. Huge signings, huge statements, a league powered by ambition, backed by the might of the kingdom's vision. And at the heart of that shift stood one man. 5-time World Player of the Year, Cristiano Ronaldo, the face of the project. The global billboard, the star who turned Saudi and the club that he joined, Al-Nassr, into a worldwide brand overnight. He's the jewel of the Saudi crown, their headline, their showpiece, the main attraction. So are there cracks in this love story today, and is there a potential fallout on the cards? Let me set this one up for you. A big match for Al-Nassr and Ronaldo. Nowhere on the team sheet. Not injured, not rested, just not playing. This is Ronaldo we're talking about, the player who hates being substituted even, let alone being left out completely. So what on earth is going on? Well, to put a complicated situation here in simpler terms, Ronaldo is on a strike. Now that word, that seems all too commonplace these days, boycott. He boycotted Al-Nassr's game against Al-Riyadh. That's not the official line, but it surely smells like that. Obviously, this is unexpected, unprecedented move, and something Saudi can't have on their hands at this point. Let me break down the saga that has gripped the cash-rich Saudi Pro League. Let's begin with the obvious question, why is Ronaldo angry? The 40-year-old is a serial winner. He's lifted trophies everywhere he's played, but that hasn't happened at Al-Nassr. In the 3 years, his only silverware has been the Arab Club Champions Cup. Now, to win trophies, you need top signings. Al-Nassr did not sign any big name this transfer window. In fact, they signed just one player for a club chasing league leaders Al-Hilal and competing on multiple fronts. That's a problem. Ronaldo knew it, the coach knew it, and so did the fans. Then there is the Karim Benzema angle to the whole story. Ronaldo wanted his old friend and his former Real Madrid strike partner in. He pushed for that transfer, but instead Benzema was signed up by Al-Hilal, Ronaldo's biggest rival in the league. And this is where the storms begin. Al-Hilal, Al-Nassr, along with Al-Ittihad and Al-Ali, these are the four giants of Saudi football, and all of them are owned by one entity, which is the Public Investment Fund. A fund reportedly worth $1.15 trillion, controlled directly by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Ronaldo is not just employed by a club, he's employed by a national project. He was even seen with MBS at the White House last year. That's the level of influence and power dynamics that we're talking about. So what's at the core here? It's the investment gap. Other PIF clubs, Al-Hilal, Al-Ali, Al-Ittihad, have all spent big. Al-Nassr has not. The club that houses Ronaldo, and this has clearly frustrated him. The coach, Jorge Jesus, has even hinted at this and faced backlash for it.
The financial situation at Al-Nassr is not good and doesn't allow it. We don't control everything. We don't have the political power.
A rare admission that, even for a global superstar and his manager, that the final decision lies elsewhere. And they have no control here. Ronaldo has money, he has status, he has influence. He didn't need more of that. What he needed was competitiveness. But the response he got, limited investment, no Benzema, no big signings, and right now it looks like he feels the project is not matching his fire. It's not seeing his kind of vision. So what are the implications of this? This is not just about a match. This is about the future of the league itself. Ronaldo is the foundation stone. He's the bedrock of this. And he didn't just bring star power with him, he brought tangible, meteoric transformation when he came over. Ronaldo's arrival sent Al-Nassr's global following from under 3 million to over 30 million across social platforms. Merchandise sales shot up by more than 120%. Sponsorship revenue, that jumped by over $50 million, and the club's digital engagement and footprint suddenly ranked among the top 10 in the world. Ronaldo is the reason stars like Neymar, Sadio Mane, N'Golo Kante, and many others followed. If the Ronaldo showboat is rocked, the entire project becomes unstable, and dangerously so. Here's the reality. No one wins in this fallout if it happens. Not Al-Nassr, not the PIF, and certainly not a league trying to prove its long-term credibility, and a country, Saudi, trying to establish themselves as the sports hub here. This is their first big crisis here in this league. Can they fix this before the story gets out of control? And if they can't, what does a disillusioned Ronaldo mean for a project he helped build from scratch? The Olympics is all about unity and harmony. The idea is that sport rises above all else. But right now, it is deep in damage control mode as the countdown to the Winter Games picks up speed. The International Olympic Committee is once again asking the world to look away. Away from the US immigration agents at the Games, away from the Epstein files controversy that's cast a shadow on the LA Games prep, and desperately hope that once the Olympic flame is lit, all of this will quietly fade into the background. This time, the distractions are not abstract. They have names, they have evidence with paper trails, and they cut uncomfortably close to the Olympic power structure. The first flashpoint, the Epstein files, and the appearance of Cassie Wasserman. He is one of the most powerful figures in the Olympic ecosystem and the man charged with leading the Los Angeles 2028 campaign. Flirtatious emails from 2003 exchanged with Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's longtime associate and alleged co-conspirator, are now out in public and impossible to ignore, even as Wasserman apologizes and says he regrets the tone of those messages. Now, Wasserman is not a side character in this story. He's the face of a future Olympics edition and the person expected to protect the brand's moral currency. At the center of this is, of course, newly appointed IOC President Christy Coventry, trying to project calm and a sense of disciplinary authority, trying to reframe the moment as just another blip or a speed bump on a very long and testy road.
I've not been in contact with Casey. The focus has fully been on Milano Cortina. I think anything that is distracting from these games is sad, right? But what is keeping my faith alive is that when that opening ceremony happens and those athletes start competing, suddenly the world remembers the magic and the spirit that the games have.
You could see the sense of hesitation there as Coventry is carefully choosing those words. The IOC calls it monitoring, watching, waiting for more clarity. Now, using time as a buffer to eventually let things all fall into place or die down on its own. It is a very familiar Olympic refrain, the belief that sport eventually will trump everything and drown out everything else. That controversies have expiry dates and that the opening ceremony works like that magical reset button. And then, of course, comes the second flashpoint, one that has moved from sealed files all the way to the city streets. Security, or rather, Big Brother watching. The presence of US immigration and customs enforcement agents in Italy. ICE at the Winter Games, the deployment has sparked anger and protests in Milan and a sharp political pushback in Italy.
From all the information that we have, and I believe the US authorities, as the other authorities, have made all the clarifications needed. So from our side, that's not for us to further comment on that part of the security.
The message from the IOC seems explicitly clear. Security is not their problem. The games must move forward. And the spotlight should remain on the athletes alone. But let me step back here for a moment and show you what both these issues have. They have one common denominator. On one hand, the head of Los Angeles 2028, USA's pride and big project under the Trump regime, caught in the Epstein files, forcing the IOC into a very uncomfortable position of defense. On the other, Donald Trump's immigration officers operating on foreign soil, creating political friction, needless political friction. America trying to flex its power by moving loudly and with consequences that have impact far beyond its own borders. Now, the IOC may insist these are isolated matters, administrative concerns, distractions that will fade away and soon. But the pattern is hard to brush aside completely. When the United States moves, reacts, or responds to anything, the Olympic movement shifts with it. This is what unsettles the Olympic Committee. Not the protests, not the distractions, but the reality that the biggest player in the room is also the most complicated one. The Olympics may belong to the world here, but the United States wants to pull the strings of it all, turning global sporting events into a bit of a puppet show. So the big question tonight is this: how long before the world stops looking the other way? Time for last serve. Super Bowl opening night is usually a full-blown spectacle. Costumes, chaos, a whole lot of noise. But this year, the scene was slightly different. The Patriots and Seahawks, of course, set up Super Bowl week, but without the usual circus. Just a little quieter, but still with moments that remind you this is Super Bowl week. That wraps it up here on Firstpost. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.
The world doesn't fit in boxes, so why should your news? From battlefields to negotiation tables, from internet outrage to real-world injustice. The conversations everyone is having and the ones they're avoiding. It's the same show, but this new year, Firstpost America gets a new look. I'm Kerry Johnston, and this is Firstpost America.